transforms any television into a state-of-the-art interactive entertainment center. A Nuon enhanced DVD player is performance charged, providing new and improved features that make the movie viewing experience more exciting and engaging. Nuon transports audio into the realm of the visual. And the fun doesn't stop there. The best software makers from around the world recognize the limitless possibilities of an advanced game platform capable of sophisticated graphics and incredible special effects. Add internet connectivity and a diverse collection of add-on peripherals, and the Nuon enhanced DVD player transcends the role of just a movie player and becomes a total interactive entertainment system for the whole family.
Hello and welcome to another ROM chip in the expansion board of retro gaming with ReplayRetro. I'm Matt, and on this episode we're paying another visit to the 6th hardware generation as we take a look at a piece of technology that tried to redefine the way we experience home entertainment as we examine the Nuon. In 1995, with the failure of Atari's 5th generation Jaguar console imminent, Atari Vice President of Technology and British expat Richard Miller left the company after 6 years. He sold his house and used the money to found his own company under the name VM Labs. Miller had seen the approach of DVD on the horizon and realised the potential this format had for video games. His vision was to replace the video decoder chip in standard DVD players with a much more powerful processor, enabling them to do far more than just play movies. He rightly believed this new format would replace VHS, and he saw that as an opportunity to sneak a new gaming platform into every home as people made the upgrade to DVD. VM Labs was only a small company, however, and they certainly couldn't do this alone. They'd need support from big names in order to make it happen. And in 1996, they got their first big break, when a deal with Motorola gave them everything they needed to start prototyping and production of their Aries processor design. VM Labs also planned to use a two-tiered licensing model for their business, again reducing both the amount of work and financial strain on the company, whilst also increasing the spread and reach of the Nuon format. Firstly, they would license out the use of their processor to DVD player manufacturers instead of producing their own player. Secondly, they'd provide the software development tools to big-name game developers free of charge, whilst taking their cut of game profits through software licensing, a practice long established in the video game industry. On the hardware side, VM Labs approached Toshiba, Samsung, Matsushita and Sony, touting Nuon technology as a way to ensure their DVD players wouldn't fall behind their rivals' products. And while initial interest from both Toshiba and Samsung was promising, Matsushita were completely unwilling to share their profits with anyone else, and this lack of industry solidarity also caused Sony to walk away. A problem which, with hindsight, would become far bigger than it initially looked when Sony later joined the 6th generation themselves. Much like the failed 3DO interactive multiplayer, and before that the Philips CDI, the Nuon platform promised to be more than just a games console, instead offering a full home entertainment package with the ability to play music and movies as well as games. But unlike those failures, it would offer an enhanced experience that it promised would not be available anywhere else. When playing standard DVD movies, the viewer would be able to scroll through the film smoothly, use enhanced gamma correction options, and even zoom in and out at will, while enhanced Nuon DVDs would offer multiple camera angle options, Easter eggs, and a range of other special features. Upon inserting an audio CD, music fans would be treated to a new version of the Jaguar's virtual light machine, designed by another Atari veteran, Jeff Minter. In '99, VM Labs revealed their new technology to the world under the totally unoriginal codename Project X. How about Project X? Yeah, that'll do, let's go home. And the media were definitely interested. By now, DVD was establishing itself as the cinephile's format of choice, and the promised enhancements of this new system certainly looked attractive. So too did the impressive specification. Featuring a 128-bit quad-core hybrid stack processor, with each core, or media processor element, how about we call them media processor elements? God, I hate you, Dave. Running at 108 MHz, an Intel MCS251 microcontroller, 32 MB of fast DRAM, 8 MB of dedicated video RAM, 512 KB of sound RAM, and of course, being a premium DVD player, features like Dolby surround sound were pretty much guaranteed, despite being manufacturer options. However, production delays meant that the first Nuon-compatible player, the Samsung N2000, wouldn't arrive until July 2000, placing it directly in the firing line of Sony's new console, the PlayStation 2. To make matters worse, having been aware of Nuon technology, Sony Computer Entertainment CEO Ken Kutaragi had convinced Sony that the PS2 must include a DVD player, a decision which would go on to be the making of the console, despite Sony's initial fear that it would hurt sales of their own DVD players. Worse still, the Samsung machine would retail for $350, making it $50 more expensive than Sony's massively hyped gaming behemoth. Nevertheless, the Nuon soldiered on, and by 2001, production of the new, more energy-efficient Ares 3 processor had been brought in-house, making it cheaper to produce Nuon players, allowing Toshiba's machine, the SD-2300, to retail for $300, followed closely by Samsung's N501 at $249. This version also added MP3 playback to the list of features, along with an enhanced VLM package, improving the machine's appeal to audiophiles. With these new machines, Nuon had truly arrived. But could it establish itself as a true upgrade to the fledgling DVD format? And more importantly for us, how could it stand up as a gaming machine as the 6th generation heated up? Before we see what happened next, let's take a look at the hardware itself and a few of the games. At first glance then, it is very obvious that this doesn't look like a games console. It does look like a standard DVD player of its era. To us now, yes, it is a very big machine, but don't forget this is the early days of DVD. The machines were all this kind of size. There weren't any of the tiny Discman type sized ones that we get now. This is of course the Toshiba DVD video player SD-2300 model, so the second Nuon player to come out on the market, and you can see straight away that the only reference to Nuon is this little logo here. So you can see that rather than being advertised as a product as such, it was simply a feature of another product, in the same way that HD CD, Dolby Digital, and whatever the heck Spatializer N22 is. These are all just technologies that are part of a bigger product. So very different to how any other kind of gaming format has been done before. Even the 3DO, the system was advertised as being a 3DO. You can see you've got the power button over here. You've also got more logos here, so the DTS digital out logo and the compact disc digital audio logo, because again, the DVD format was new and a lot of people probably wouldn't have realised that their CDs would also be compatible with this device. Standard DVD player controls, pause, stop, play and skip, as well as open and close, which is a very nice, satisfying mechanical draw. It sounds really solid, really chunky, really well put together. You've also obviously got this 90s and early noughties typical display here, which says things like hello and goodbye, depending on what you're doing with the machine. And just behind this panel, you'll find two hidden controller ports to use with your Nuon controllers for playing games. Nicely hidden away so that if you're not using it for gaming and you are just using it as an advanced DVD player, then you can hide them away. The underneath and sides of the system are, as you would expect from a DVD player, blank. Because obviously, you know, it's a DVD player, it sits under your TV, it doesn't really need features or anything like that, it just needs to be used in a stacker setup. On the back, you can see you have your power input. Next to that, you have the Region 1 certification, indicating that this device will only play Region 1 DVDs, so that's America. However, I think the only Nuon DVDs that were released were Region 1 anyway, so it's kind of by the by as to whether or not you get a European one or an American one. Then you've got this little information sticker, as you would expect on a home consumer product, giving you the model number, the manufacturing date of November 2000, serial number, and then a lot of warnings about lasers and electrocution and all those exciting things. Over here you have the hookups, so you can see that you have a standard video jack as well as an S-video jack. You also have the component HD jacks, which is a really impressive thing really for a device of this era to have. Standard right and left analog audio channels, as well as the Bitstream PCM audio out to connect to your surround sound system to get the full use of the Dolby Digital experience. So we'll turn that back around and we'll take a look at the remote, which as a DVD player you would expect it to come with. Again, you can see all the usual DVD player functionality, however you do get some bonuses with this being a Nuon system. So you have the angle button there, allowing you to change the camera angle on Nuon DVDs, which is a really cool feature if you want to see something from a different angle. And you've also got the zoom in and out, which I imagine if you were watching certain movies, you might use that more than you would on others. We all know that there are certain copies of the VHS version, for example, of Jessica Rabbit, where the tape is worn out in certain sections when people are watching Who Framed Roger Rabbit. Underneath you have some slightly more advanced features. So you have the memory and programming, which is mainly for your audio capabilities. You also have slow-mo and 3D, as well as a general Nuon button. You have this nice analog stick in the middle of the remote, and it's actually a really nice feeling, really springy stick. I really like that stick, and it can be used for some games. Not all games, as we'll come to, but it can be used for some games, which is really cool. Speaking of controllers, there were no own brand controllers released that I'm aware of, so you had third-party options like this Logitech example here, which it's not the nicest plastic. It's a bit, yeah, you have to feel it to know, but you can already see it's not fantastic. A really flimsy, unpleasant analog stick that sometimes springs back, others doesn't, and this is a new old stock controller, so this is how it came out of the box. You have a button in the Nuon gem there, which is actually jammed, and a D-pad which, it's not the best, but I've definitely used worse. It does work, it's okay, but no more than okay. These buttons over this side are where things get a bit weird, because they're not pronounced enough from the plastic for you to easily press them. You feel like you're pressing in rather than pressing on, which again doesn't make a lot of sense until you use the system, but you'll just have to take my word for it. You also have two shoulder buttons, which again are just standard buttons, no analog there, just extra buttons. One positive of this controller though is you do get a significant amount of cable, which, bearing in mind this was designed to live under your TV rather than being dragged across the carpet like some people did with their games consoles. With this being designed to live under the TV, it's quite important that you have that long cable so that you can plug it in and go all the way back to the sofa without any issues. So kudos to Logitech for that. Games, as I'm sure you've already guessed, come in DVD cases. However, they do come in these lovely gold DVD cases rather than a standard black case. You get the Nuon logo presented more clearly here because these obviously are Nuon games. And you get the DVD and your ratings logos just as you would expect from a standard DVD case. On the inside, no shock that your game comes on a standard DVD disc. And over on this side, you have your manual. You can see from the manual documentation here that controllers were available. Also a port replicator and extension cable. But one interesting thing from the manual is the mention of using the remote as a controller, which is really cool. It shows the Samsung and Toshiba remotes. However, this was not compatible with all games. Including Freefall, I believe you needed to have an analog separate controller for. So not great, but at least you can play some games without having to buy an extra controller, which is pretty cool. So I suppose with that in mind, we should check out what the games themselves are like. And so we'll pop Merlin Racing in, and we'll give it a go. So this is Merlin Racing, and as I'm sure you've guessed, it is a kart racing game, like a Mario Kart knockoff. Got some characters here. Let's be Argyle. Argyle there from the movie Die Hard. I always wondered what he did after Die Hard. Now I know. And yeah, we'll use the first map because let's face it, it's going to be the easiest. You may not recognise Argyle as being a purple elephant creature. That is just Hollywood magic, basically. I like the music. I really like it's quite catchy. That's going to drill into your head. I mean, it's a fairly generic kart racing game, isn't it? You know, you've got interchangeable characters, basic weapon set, and I'm sure differently themed maps. But all in all, well, I've played worse. The buttons keep sticking in the controller. I keep having to pull the, like, double tap the brake to get the brake to release. And it oversteers sometimes as a result, but that's the controller, not the game. There you go, brakes have got stuck. Alright, we'll come out, there you go. Graphics wise, well, it's not up to the PS2 standard, is it? Obviously. But you know what? Is it better than PS1? Like, graphically, where are we at with this and Crash Team Racing? Oh, I don't think it's bad. This is a DVD player. You know, I think if you were if you were buying a DVD player and you wanted to have kind of like a basic game system at the same time, like you wanted to be able to play some stuff, I don't think you'd be too disappointed by this. Oh, bugger. Yeah, I don't think it's terrible. It's actually quite, the racing is actually quite, it works quite functionally. Like, I'm not, with the exception of the controller sticking, it's not frustrating me through poor controls or anything like that. You know, I like the audio, the graphics are okay, they're passable. Gameplay is, oh god, solid enough. You know, for a generic kart racing game, you can do a lot worse. Next up then, let's take a look at Space Invaders XL. I don't think this is going to be one that really pushes the hardware, but, you know. Battle modes aren't too bad. Let's just go to normal Space Invaders. Okay, so you can choose your type. I've personally always been a big fan of the reflector version, so let's go with that. Okay, so it is just Space Invaders. Okay. Can't go wrong with Space Invaders. Graphically, is it really proving the capability of your expensive system? Not really. Like, if this was a full, you know, like £30–40 release, then you might be, you know, a little bit miffed, perhaps. But, you know, you can't go wrong with Space Invaders, can you? Hey, bit of Space Invaders. It's a classic. Oh, bugger. Play it with your gran. She'll love it. Yeah. Don't really know what else. It's a good version of Space Invaders. Now, I'm certainly not playing it thinking, oh god, this is rubbish. Like a lot of versions of Space Invaders I've played over the years. But, yeah, I mean, it's... Sorry, it gets... we all know that the end of Space Invaders is too tense for conversation. Don't act like you're not impressed. But yeah. It's just, you know, it's just Space Invaders. Nothing wrong with Space Invaders. If this was a cheapy release, like, you know, if this was like a budget release, I don't know, £10 or less, then yeah, it'd be a great thing to have on your DVD player. You know, when you've got a bit of time to kill, you bang in Space Invaders and away you go. But it's hardly the AAA title that's going to sell your new platform as a serious 6th generation competitor, is it really? Next up then we have Freefall 3050 AD, and I've read the instruction book and still can't figure this game out. Let's just go into it and you might see what I mean. So from what I can gather, we are a skydiving cop. We can fire lasers or grenades. Grenades are a limited supply but are stronger than lasers. Lasers are unlimited but not as effective. We can rotate around like this. We can go into a dive like this and you see our speed increase. We can come out with a dive. We can use air brakes somehow like that to slow down. And we can also go into, yeah, that's it, like a weird legs down dive. But you can also kind of more, like, yeah, you can do whatever the hell that is. Like, I'm just kind of rattling. I don't, what? No idea. I suppose I'm supposed to be shooting at all the stuff. Oh, what's this? But yeah, and when you get to the ground, I so far haven't figured out how to land. So you can see we're 90 meters away. No. No. Yeah, I've not managed to successfully land yet. I mean, it looks interesting. It looks PS1 era at best, but it looks interesting. Right, brakes, because our altitude is now... Oh wait, we're running out of air. Should we dive faster? Let's see if we can land. I'm not interested in fighting stuff. Let's just see if we can land. Oh, we got killed by something. Okay. Yeah, let's just have a quick another crack. I'm curious about this game. Again, it's obviously not a game that competes with the rest of the 6th generation, is it? Let's be honest. But it's interesting. It's an interesting concept for a game. I could see it being a good arcade game. You see, then you end up doing that all the time, and I don't know how or why. Oh, I can fire forwards when I do that. Oh, that might enable me to shoot stuff down. Come here, you little things that need shooting. Yes, blow something up! Kill the thing! Kill the thing! Did I kill the thing? Is it crashing? Yes, I killed a thing! I killed a thing. I am the best futuristic skydiving cop you will ever see. can we land? Let's just see if we can survive long enough to land now. So I'm just going to keep moving so that maybe we don't get killed. And then when we fall below, I don't know, 800 feet, I will start to brake. I just want to land. If I could kill something and land on the same life, I will be stoked by that. Oh no, we're about to run out of health. No! Ah, we're never going to find out if I can land. Oh well, that was a game. Towards the end of 2001, things weren't looking great for the Nuon. As a games console, it was well behind the abilities and recognition of the PS2. And now new rivals were arriving on the scene too. Microsoft had introduced their Xbox, which again featured DVD playback, as well as a hard drive for storing music directly on the system. While industry veterans Nintendo were going solely after the gaming crowd with their budget-friendly GameCube, releasing at just $199. Developers weren't showing the Nuon any real interest either, leaving it with just 8 games, one of which was Tetris, which just came packed in with Toshiba systems, while another, Iron Soldier 3, was recalled due to compatibility issues with some players, and a third game, Crayon Shin-Chan, was exclusive to Korea, meaning just 5 games were available at retail. To combat this, VM Labs released a homebrew development kit, but it seemed manufacturers had already given up on the gaming aspect of the machine. When the European released Samsung N505, as well as American RCA-produced machines, lacked any controller ports. A wireless controller shown in promotional videos was also scrapped, along with a variety of other Nuon accessories. On the movies side of things, the story was even sadder, with only 4 films receiving Nuon-enhanced releases, including Bedazzled and Dr. Dolittle 2. Worse still, the third release, Planet of the Apes, had a menu glitch, which meant that the first production runs couldn't even access the Nuon features from the main menu. The final piece of Nuon hardware would scrap the DVD drive altogether, as Motorola partnered with Blockbuster Video to release the Streammaster 5000, a set-top box using Nuon technology to enhance its streaming capabilities. After this, the writing was on the wall, and VM Labs filed for bankruptcy in 2002 before being bought by Genesis Microchip, who would go on to use Nuon technology in their HD TV chipsets before being bought out themselves by ST Microelectronics. It's been speculated that if Nuon could have reached the market sooner, or had positioned itself better with more public awareness of just what it could do, then perhaps the story would have been very different. But personally, I think the biggest problem was that there just wasn't a place for a device like this. The general public didn't need the expensive extra DVD features, and machines like the PS2 made Nuon games look pathetic. In fact, it could be said that what made the PS2 successful was that it was the exact opposite of the Nuon. Where VM Labs' machine had specialised in DVD playback, with an average game console being an afterthought, the PS2 instead specialised in gaming and was a pretty average DVD player. And it's this version of the mix that the public seemed to prefer. However, that doesn't mean the idea of gaming on a DVD player totally died. The multi-scene nature of DVD format has meant that over the years we've seen a number of successful quiz DVDs compatible with the majority of players. Some even including quiz show style buzzers to enhance the experience instead of just using the TV remote. While in 2005 the Zapit GameWave console would again revisit the idea of DVD as a game format. These days you can pick up Nuon players fairly easily, especially if you're willing to get an American Region 1 machine. However, they can be expensive if you're not patient. Games too aren't cheap, with the popular Tempest 3000 regularly selling for over £100. You'll also need to track down a controller, as these were actually manufactured by third parties like Logitech and not included as standard. Again, this can make collecting for Nuon pretty expensive, especially considering the limited library of games. And movies. That's all we've got time for on today's show, but don't forget you can keep in touch by following us on Twitter or liking us on Facebook. You can also support the show via our Patreon campaign, and of course, as always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.